Welcome to today's Team Clueless Battle Report. You can see we are in the polar wastelands today, or the white tablecloth land as it were. We're playing a special mission today called Polar Salvage. It has a sparse battlefield, so there's not very much terrain on the board. If I go down here you can see you actually have hills buried under the tablecloths to simulate a bit more kind of like a snowy wasteland. The game is played for 3 objectives, but they don't arrive on the table until turn 3. They arrive on the table, one gets about there, one in the centre of the table, and one down there. So a line down the centre of the table, and then you scatter each of the objectives. It's supposed to simulate recovering dropped salvage from an orbital battle that's gone on. Each of the objectives also counts as an Archano-tech artefact, which you roll randomly when you get near it. So each of those is worth the 3 victory points as normal. The game is played using the Dawn of War setup, but from 5th edition, so you can start off with 1 HQ on the table and 2 troop choices, and the rest of the army comes on turn 1 automatically. You also play under night fighting turn 1. There are a couple of other additional rules for the mission. One is, because we're playing in a polar land, there is going to be snowstorms and such. At the start of each game turn, you roll randomly. On a 1 to 3 there is no night fighting, on a 4 or 5 there is night fighting, and on a 6 there is a massive blizzard which causes all terrain to be difficult and causes flyers and flying monstrous creatures to evade or go to ground, as it were. And the other one is an extra secondary objective, which is you have to kill all of your opponent's vehicle units and monstrous creature units. So if the opponent ends with none of those on the table, you score an additional secondary objective. It's to represent the fact that you can't recover the salvage if you don't have anything big and strong or any vehicles to haul it with. Okay, let's see what armies we've got today. Okay, so we're playing 1500 points today. You can see our little table is quite covered in models. Both Paul and I are both playing quite large armies. I am taking my Imperial Guard, which is slowly becoming painted. There's a few painted vehicles back there. So today we are being led by a Lord Commissar. He's got a power fist and I think a bolt gun as well. There are 3 standard infantry squads. Each one has a grenade launcher and a missile launcher heavy weapons team in it. They're likely to blob up. We also have 2 special weapon squads. Each of them has 2 melter guns and a flamer. We have a heavy weapons squad of mortars. We have a platoon command squad with 4 flamers. We have a veteran squad with 3 plasma guns. Each of those has a chimera. The platoon command squad's chimera has a heavy flamer, the other one has a heavy bolter. We're also bringing along Sly Marbo to sneak in and kill some of those evil Tyranids. Back here we have a Lemon Rust Eradicator with 3 heavy bolters and a Lemon Rust Demolisher with a single heavy bolter. We have 2 Vendettas, each armed with just their triple las cannon, no heavy bolters on them. And then we have a Hydra Flak Tank as well. And that is our 1500 points of Impi Guard.
Okay, 1500 points of Tyranids. We're being led by a Winged Hive Tyrant. The Hive Tyrant has double Devourers and he's got Old Adversary, and he's using the psychic powers Enfeeblement and Endurance. We've got 2 Tervagons, both with Toxin Sacs, and they're using the psychic powers Enfeeble and Life Leech for the guy with the horns, and Iron Arm and Enfeeble for the guy with the tusks. In my elite slot I've got the Doom of Melantine, no! My Cetic Spore. He's using his default Cataclysm power, and 6 Hive Guard across 2 different squads. In the troops I've got the mandatory 20 Termagants, which allow me to take those Tervagons. Then I have 2 units of 3 Tyranid warriors. We've got Scything Talons all around, and in each squad we have 1 Barbed Strangler and 2 Devourers. And then to round things off we've got a unit of 19 Gargoyles with no upgrades.
Okay, because we're using the 5th edition Dawn of War mission, it meant I could start with 2 troops and an HQ on the board. I started off with my large blob squad of 3 infantry squads and a Lord Commissar in the centre, and I've occupied the large ruin. I also started off with a mortar team at the back. Paul declined to deploy anything, meaning everything of his arrives automatically turn 1. For this particular scenario we have suspended the rule, whereas if you have no models on the table at the end of a turn you lose, because it wouldn't really work with the old Dawn of War mission. So everything of mine arrived turn 1. I have rolled onto the board with 2 Chimeras, which are both Pop Smoke, a Hydra, which is also Pop Smoke, and the 2 Lemon Russes have very slowly rolled onto the board at the back there. Now we are waiting to see where the Tyranids arrive. I'm guessing somewhere along that line.
Okay, end of the Tyranid turn 1. We all moved on, apart from the Doom of Melantai, who's still entering the atmosphere in his mycetic spore. The Hive Tyrant raced forwards, took some shots at the Chimera with the command squad in it, with its devourers, managed to destroy it, leaving a nice crater there. We only killed one of the guys inside, but we pinned them to with the pinning test, so that's quite nice. Everything else shuffled on. I like to put my Tyranids behind a nice screen of gargoyles, and we got Tervagons at either end. We took everything. The only thing that was in range was the main Imperial Guard squad. We managed to take out 9 of them in total, with Barbed Stranglers, Cluster Spines, and the Hive Guard. So they've been reduced a little bit. That's the end of my turn. So now we need to start rolling, see what happens to the storm. On a 1 to 3, nothing happens next turn. 4 or 5, there's night fighting next turn. And on a 6, there's a night fighting with additional blizzard effects, which means monstrous creatures have to make a grounding check, and flyers have to make a evade check, or they have to evade.
Let's see what it is.
Nothing next turn.
The storm has cleared. Okay, Imperial Guard turn 2. So I rolled for my reserves. First thing, the Vendetta came on. I shuffled up with my 2 Lemon Russes to get in range, and my Hydra reorientated its front armour. Chimera over here pushed up, and the troops in the centre consolidated into the area train because those damned Hive Guard. So we decided, Hive Tyrant. He needed to die this turn. As you can tell from the picture, didn't succeed in that. I opened up with my Vendetta. Unfortunately, I only scored 1 hit on him, which did a wound, so not so bad, and he didn't get grounded. So still being in the air, my Hydra opened fire. Managed to only score 1 wound with my 2 twin-linked autocannons, which wasn't so good, and he made his save there, but he did get grounded, so he fell to the floor, took another wound. I then fired the Blob Squad at him, which was 3 missile launchers, 3 grenade launchers and some las guns. I managed to get 3 wounds on him, but he made 2 of his saves, meaning he's left there with 1 wound on him. I didn't really have anything else left that could put decent wounds on him. I could have fired my Eradicator at him, but that had better targets over there. So I fired the Eradicator at those Hive Guard. Didn't roll very well. I managed to hit with more or less all my heavy bolters, but then failed to wound with all but 1 of them. So I took 1 wound from a heavy bolter. The Eradicator shot scattered a good 10 inches that way and hit a couple of Tyranid warriors. So I did a wound to 2 wounds to the Tyranid warrior squad. Over here, the las guns and plasma guns in the back of here from the vet squad managed to wipe out a few of the gargoyle screen, and the heavy weapons on this tank shot at the same warriors squad, managing to get, I think, 1 more wound on. The mortars decided, yeah, we'll concentrate on that warrior squad. We managed to get 1 more wound on them, so there's now 2 wounds on 2 different Tyranid warriors, which isn't best. And the other mortar shots scattered quite widely out of the way. The Demolisher Cannon, the only thing in range of that was the gargoyle screen, so we fired that into there. And we took out, how many gargoyles do you reckon we took out?
8 gargoyles down.
Took out 8 gargoyles this turn with combined fire from those and the veteran squad in there. Not a brilliant turn shooting, because the 2 things I really wanted to hurt were the Hive Guard and the Hive Tyrant, and both are still quite happily alive. This Hive Tyrant is going to be right in my lines now, which is very, very bad, because the Doom's about to arrive. Let's see what it does.
Okay, Tyranid turn 2. The Hive Tyrant has moved up over here, and the gargoyles have surged forwards. The rest of the army's moved forwards a little bit as well. This Tervagon here made some babies. It made 9 babies over here, but unfortunately it's now made all the babies it's going to make. So it's now infertile. This one chose not to make babies this turn. In the shooting phase, the Doom of Melantai dropped down here. The Doom of Melantai did 2 wounds because it was in range of the platoon command squad that was here, and also the big squad. So it's up to 6 wounds now. Decided not to fire Cataclysm just yet, would like a few more wounds first. And also in the shooting phase, not a lot really, I can't remember, did anything else happen?
You didn't really shoot the shooting phase, you didn't want to kill the blob.
The blob squad in the middle were the only people in range, and I was a bit nervous about my gargoyle's charge range, so we didn't go for any shooting. We then managed to just about get the charge range in. I needed to roll 9 to charge, so it was a bit touch and go, but we made it in. The combat didn't go my way, and the Imperial Guard managed to do 3 casualties to only 1 in return, but at least they're being kept busy in their turn. Over here, the Hive Tyrant did his best to not wipe out the squad. He used his overhead smash attack to reduce the number of wounds, and he managed to successfully knock it down to just one guardsman, which was perfect. But unfortunately, the guardsman was a coward and ran off, so that's a bit suboptimal. So that's the end of the round. It's the end of round 2, so we're going to see what happens to the blizzard. Still no blizzard, and now the crates are going to start raining from the heavens. Let's see what happens.
Okay, Imperial Guard turn 3. As it started game turn 3, the first thing that happened was the 3 crates of strange Archano-tech fall from the sky, which we were using as objectives this game. So one of them plummeted over here. If you remember, we brought them in a line in the centre of the table and then scattered them 3d6. So this one here landed. It's quite close to this unit here, so we get to look inside, and inside that one there's a time flow stabiliser, which means all units within 3 inches are initiative 10. Quite handy for my Chimera. In the centre, this one landed. It landed actually over here, but then scattered a good 15 inches or something, maybe not quite that many, towards the Tyranid lines, which I wasn't best pleased with. My heavy weapons dude has managed to get within 3 inches of it, and he's looked inside and found some ethereal dust, which does nothing. The other one landed dead centre of the table and didn't scatter very far. Again, this squad had a peek inside while they were beating up some gargoyles, and in that one they found some unpleasant slime, which again does nothing, so not the most interesting of rolls we could have had. On to the rest of my turn. This Vendetta over here decided to come in hover mode, just so it could disgorge its troops that you can see there, a special weapon squad with a flamer and 2 melters in it, because I really wanted to kill the Hive Tyrant who was hiding in the crater. The 2 melter guns opened fire, one of them hitting, and then Paul called for him to roll a 1, and guess what he rolled? He rolled a 1. But luckily the Vendetta was there as backup, fired 3 las cannons in. Again, unfortunately only hit with 1 las cannon, but managed to do a wound, and he failed his feel no pain and his normal save, so he is off the board. That was the main objective for the turn. The other Vendetta, still flying, moved forwards over here and fired 3 las cannons into the Doom. I managed to get 2 wounds on him, but his double storm shield saved him, so he's still sitting there threatening my squads. This Lemon Rust moved forwards, fired a load of fire into the Hive Guard over there. His heavy bolters weren't very good, but I was dead on with my Eradicator cannon. I took out one of the Hive Guard, and both of those have now got 1 wound left on them. The Demolisher, he went sideways and he fired through that little gap in that temple in the middle and managed to be in range of the Tervigon and the Tyranid warriors slightly behind him. I managed to get a hit. I failed to wound the Tervigon because he made his cover save, but the Tyranid warrior got instant deathed. The mortars were the most inaccurate I've ever seen them. They fired at this massive clump of gaunts over here, managing to kill none of them, which was not very good. Other things that happened, over here, combined fire from this tank managed to kill a gaunt. And then we went to the close combat phase. My blob squad managed to beat up the 5 remaining gargoyles for no losses, and then consolidated only an inch, unfortunately, so couldn't get back into cover, so they've gone into starburst formation, spreading out so they can't get shot by quite so much template weapons. Unfortunately, the Doom is still on the table, though. Let's see what Paul does with his turn.
Tyranid turn 3. The Doom of Melantai had a choice of whether he wanted to go for the big squad or that squad of special weapon guys. He decided to zoom over towards the special weapon guys, but he didn't really achieve a lot. He managed to suck 1 wound, I think?
Yeah, 1 wound.
And then he tried to charge, but unfortunately he didn't manage to charge across that resistance of the crater. Nearly took a metal gun to the face, but thankfully he's okay. In the meantime, the rest of the army decided it was time that big squad in the middle of the table died. So it got eaten by the combination of 2 squads of termagants and 2 tervigons all convening on it. Let's wipe that from existence. Over here, the Hive Guard managed to take some shots over at the Chimera. Disappointingly, the result we managed to get on the damage table was immobilised, which was like the only result I didn't want. And over here, these Hive Guard, the only things that were in range was the zooming Valkyrie, the Lehman Russ. So they had a shot at the Lehman Russ and managed to get a lucky glance. So they managed to take a whole point off there as well. So that's the end of my turn 3, and we've got more Blizzard fun. Do you want to roll to see what happens with Blizzard?
Let's see the Blizzard. I want another 1, 2 or 3, really.
4, so we're back in night fighting as the snow descends.
Damn it! Okay, Imperial Guard, turn 4. The snow was back this turn. We kind of remembered it.
Eventually.
Couple of take-backsies.
Fairly heroic rewind session.
Okay, so first thing we did, we opened fire with our 2 Vendettas. Unbelievably, they all hit and all wounded. So we killed the Tervigon. Then we remembered it got a cover save, so we put it back on the board and hoped I'd kill it before the end of the phase so we didn't have to put back all the termagants that died when it went. So then we fired the Eradicator and the Hydra at it. The Eradicator managed to finish it off, which was pretty useful. So it took out maybe another 10 termagants around it, so it was quite handy. The Demolisher moved up here, shot at the Hive Guard. Oh, let's rewind. He shot at the Hive Guard, did 1 wound, but before that happened, Sneaky Slime Arbo appeared over here. He lobbed his demo charge over at that dude there, hoping to hit both of those and a Hive Guard, which would be pretty good, instant death to those things. He's got 5 ballistic skill, so I scattered 11 inches exactly back towards him, hitting himself on the head with his demo charge. I managed to put 1 wound on one of the Hive Guard as well, and obviously failed my cover save, and he bought the bullet. So he killed himself with his own demo charge.
I think he must have thrown it pretty much straight upwards.
Yeah, I think he just fumbled and dropped it at his feet. He threw it exactly 6 inches, it scattered exactly 6 inches back, so it hit him on the head. Squad in here, they fired all their guns and the guns of the tank at the Hive Guard. You'll see how much damage I did to them. None.
Go with some plasma.
That's true. I fired these things. They shot over at these, attempting to wound the back two with their precision. I used that word. Shooting. I scattered backwards 3 times, going 11, 9 and 12 inches. So
none of them landed
off
on the
the
table.
board with all of them. Wasn't my best ever shooting phase, I must admit. That was it. So we killed 1 Tervigan, which was good. The rest of my shooting did, I think, 2 wounds to some Hive Guard. Other than that, nothing. I think the game is going down the drain. Paul is going to be charging lots of stuff this turn.
Tyranid turn 4. We're decided to circle the wagons around this crate here and this crate here, and we've pretty much given up the any chance of getting over to this crate over here. So Imperial Guard are welcome to that one. These 3 Hive Guard took a shot at the Valkyrie, which went into skimmer mode and managed to take out the sky. 3 people survived the impact but subsequently run off the table. And these 2 Hive Guard here took a shot up at the zooming Valkyrie. We did manage to get a hit, but we didn't manage to penetrate. The iron-handed Tervigon ran in and smashed up the Lehman Russ while the Doom watched on. And that's pretty much it for Tyranid turn 5, Tyranid turn 4. So let's see what happens to the weather this turn.
Oh, weather.
More night fighting, or snow fighting.
Okay, so Imperial Guard turn 5. Our friends are turning up shortly, so we decided that turn 5 will be the end of the game. So, I moved my Vendetta forward, disgorged the troops out of the bottom. There was a Flamer and a couple of lasguns, and there was a Melter gun and another lasgun. I'll come back to that in a moment. Over here, this squad got out so they could score this objective. We decided to try, and we're obviously trying to take that objective from Paul, so we needed to kill the other troops and also the things that were good in close combat that were nearby. So there was a squad of 3 Tyranid warriors at the back of the board. This Vendetta opened fire with its 3 las cannons, 3 hits, 3 wounds, 3 dead warriors. So there's just these 2 warriors here that I decided to concentrate on with the rest of my army. So first of all, the Demolisher opened up. My scattering continued to do brilliantly. It landed over here somewhere, did 1 wound to a Hive Guard. Then this thing, the Hydra opened fire, only hit a couple of times, did no wounds. Over here, the Chimera opened fire, similar story, no wounds. Then we decided, the mortars. So the mortars opened fire, lobbing their shells down, hopefully hitting both of them. One scattered over there somewhere, and the other managed to roll 11 inches and landed directly on my remaining squad that was on the objective. Killed 2 of the members, forcing me to make a leadership check. I did pass it though, which is saving grace, I suppose. The other one hit them, but did no wounds. The rest of the veteran squad all piled out here and decided to open up with a fusillade of fire onto the termagants. I killed 1, and killed 1 of my own veterans with this plasma gun. So a good trade there. Other than that, nothing else happened, so let's see what Paul's going to do. So at the minute, Paul is scoring this box of goo here, and he is probably going to be able to take my 3 Imperial Guard off of the box of dust, while the time flow stabiliser is looking good for me unless Paul can wipe out my dudes over there. Let's see.
Okay, Tyranid turn 5, and it's the end of the game. Fairly quick turn. Just needed to make sure that these guys died at all costs, so we shot the Hive Guard at them. We were ready with some bolt pistols and devourers and all sorts of other stuff. Maybe a charge, didn't need any of that. Over here, these Hive Guard took some cheeky shots over here to try and break the veteran squad. We managed to kill 3, which because of the plasma gunner dying did cause a morale check, but luckily they were okay. And I decided I didn't want to take down the Valkyrie just in case it exploded and destroyed everything around the objective. So that was the end of the game. So at the end of the game, my Tyranid warriors have captured the box full of dust. My termagants have captured the box full of goo. And these Imperial Guard over here have captured the box full of secret Archano-tech. Unfortunately, they're all worth the same number of victory points.
So, time flow stabilizer, you have dust.
Dust is very valuable to the Tyranids. And we both managed to wipe out the Warlords, that was the Commissar and the Hive Tyrant. I managed to get my Doom and my Spore into his side of the table. He didn't manage to get anything into my side of the table. So final scores, well, I got first blood for destroying a Chimera with my Hive Tyrant. So final scores were 9 plays 4. I thought it was good. I mean, you had unbelievably bad shooting all game.
Yeah, the shooting was really bad. I kept on choosing at the start of... I mean, I don't know how other people do their target prior. I generally think, what's the threat to my army, and then I kill that threat, and then with the spare shots after that, you go on to your next target. But as you can see, the Hive Guard, I always prioritise those, because if I kill those, there's very little that can hurt any of my vehicle-based army. I killed 1 Hive Guard all game, which was pretty poor.
Yeah.
My mortars did more damage to me than they did to you the entire game, and they shot every turn, so they were pretty poor. It was mainly my scattering, I think. I had so many template weapons, and they just none of them hit. I was just scattering 9s to 11s to 12s every time.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, getting a scatter under 7 would have been a bit of a result.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah,
but I really enjoyed the game though. I really liked the mission. Having the objectives come down later on was...
Yeah, so we knew roughly where they
interesting.
were, so it wasn't completely random. But then we had to be able to adjust. So, I mean, I'd pretty much given up on this fairly early on. Decided to concentrate on the 2 that were closer together.
That's it, I'd blocked up in the middle before the start of the game.
It was quite interesting. It was my first time playing Tyranids in 6th edition. I really loved the new psychic powers, and Iron Arm especially. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and the fact the Fearless, you no longer lose wounds in combat, and there's lots of little bonuses I think Tyranids get. Things like the poison is slightly better, and the High Guard is still awesome.
Yeah. So when they first came out and I wasn't allowed to ally with anyone, I think I was just had a bit of a sulk about Tyranids and played my Space Marines and my Eldar, but they are still actually very nice. So I'll probably be playing more Tyranids in the future.
One comment about the mission that I think I might need to look into is I don't think the old reserve half your leave all your army off at the beginning of the table works in the new rules.
No.
I felt the fact that you had second turn and you got first shooting phase from being able to stealth the board was a real advantage to yourself.
Yeah, it always used to be, and it still is.
Yeah, and I felt with the first blood and such,
yeah,
it gave you a big boost.
And also, I was getting all the advantages of going first, and the objective advantages of going second.
Yeah, that's it. So there's obviously a reason they got rid of the old Dawn of War.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in the new rules.
Yeah.
So I'll look at changing that, but other than that, I like the mission.
Yeah, I think if I was taking Tyranids again, I'd make sure I had at least 2 units with double Brain Leech Devourers. Either another Hive Tyrant if I get one, or I've got Archano-tech I could equip with those.
Yeah.
Because those Valkyries, while they're zooming, I mean, I have to get them into hover mode in order to stand a chance of shooting one, really. Otherwise it's just Hive Tyrants, Hive Guard, praying for the best.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's the main thing I would want to change about my list. But other than that, I thought it held up well.
And the tablecloth did well. I think it really changes the battle. We both commented on it.
Yeah, it's really cinematic. We're forging the narrative.
Everybody invest in a tablecloth and play in the snow.
Yeah, especially good if you've got snow bases already.
And hills to go underneath the tablecloth.
Yeah, which become almost invisible. I'll try and... So, I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, there's like it rises up out of the snow. It's really good. Okay, see you next time.